So I wore Patagonia barely baggy shorts. I went through 2 pairs, not because they broke down or there was anything really wrong with the shorts themselves, but because I lost so much weight that I didn't fit in the pair of shorts anymore that I went out there with. So I went out there with a large and came home with a medium. And these are actually, we're kind of starting to get a little loose on me towards the end of the Sierra before I started regaining some of the weight that I had lost. These were fantastic. The only time I chafed was when it was really humid and I was sweating an exceptional amount. And then I was able to use some deodorant on the areas that were chafing and it prevented that. But otherwise, these didn't chafe at all and they were wonderful. So here are the socks I used. I used Injinji socks, which are the toe socks. I used the mid-weight ones. The liners were a little too baggy on my toes. I had an extra pair of them, and then I used Darn Tough socks over the top of those. 2 layers of socks helped with friction on my heels when I was going up and downhill. So 4 pairs of socks, 2 pair worn and 2 pair extra. Then I have gaiters. I wore these throughout the whole trail for the most part. There was a period of time I forgot to put a strip of Velcro on my shoes and didn't wear them during that time, but these keep the dust and sand out of your shoes a little bit, at least the dust or the sand that you can feel under your feet and the bigger particles, and these helped a lot with not having to take my shoes off frequently to get those pebbles and stuff out. I have my buff. I wore this as a sweatband. And then at the beginning half of the trail, I also used it as a mask when I was in towns until I got a mask when I was in South Lake Tahoe. I have a P-rag here. Use is pretty obvious. Oh, my headlamp is a black diamond headlamp that I bought in South Lake, nope, I bought this in South Kennedy Meadows. This is a rechargeable one. It does have batteries as well, or have the option for batteries as well, but I used the rechargeable feature and it was way better than my battery headlamp, which only lasted about 4 hours for every set of new batteries. And I have my water filter. I ended up switching to the Katahdin Be Free. I really like this water filter. It did start clogging up by the time I was done, and I thought I was going to have to get a new one in Packwood, but then I cleaned it out in the hotel and it was like brand new again. And then I have the 3-liter bag, which was nice because it was easy to fill in most water sources, and it also gave me an extra 3-liter water capacity for those dry days and long water carries. My sunglasses, those are prescription. I have my pot here. I have the Tokes 750 milliliter titanium pot. And then inside of it, a bandana to dry it out with. And wrapped in the bandana is a lighter, which I rarely had to use. And then I have the Snow Peak stovetop here, and this has the starter on it, which worked most of the time. Sometimes at higher elevation I had some issues with it, but this was a really nice stove for me. Not the most efficient, but it worked for my purposes. This is the Deuce number 2. This is for digging cat holes for the bathroom. I have my spoon. This is a very heavy spoon, but I used it the entire trail. I got made fun of for having such a heavy spoon, but hey, it worked for me. I like the long handle to get into bags easier. This is just a bag full of Crystal Light and Mio for water. Tent stakes, and then I have my emergency bag. I have some moleskin in here, some extra hair ties. I have some of my prescription medication as well as some ibuprofen, Tylenol, Aleve, Benadryl, a few Band-Aids, a little bit of antibiotic ointment, and then I have some KT tape in here because I was using that for a while, but I ended up not using that for the last, I don't know, 100 miles or so. And then there's also an anti-diarrheal in there. And I have my sleeping pad. So this is a blow-up sleeping bag or sleeping pad. It's a Sea to Summit ultralight insulated, and I just fold it up and put it along the back of my pack. And then another luxury item, I have my blow-up sleeping pillow, which has a hole in it and was deflating the last several hundred miles of the trail in the middle of the night. So definitely will be getting a new sleep pillow. And then last but not least, I have my quilt. So this is the Enlightened Equipment. I believe it's the Revelation. Whew. It smells really bad. Oh man. It doesn't have any zippers, which makes it lighter, and then it has these straps which go around. This one I put around my sleeping pad to keep it from coming off and giving me drafts. And then this one I would put around my torso and then pull it tight so that I didn't have any drafts if it was colder. Oof, it's got a lot of dust in it from that windstorm I was in. And then it has snaps along the top, so if it's really cold, you can always snap it around your neck or head. I like to snap it around my head and then curl up inside of it and pull myself down in it. And it has a pull here, so when you snap it, you can actually pull it tight above you or around your neck if you like doing that. Just obviously be careful with that one. And then I lined my bag with a compactor bag, and I never had problems with things getting wet. I changed out the compactor bag probably 3 or 4 times throughout, I think 3 times. I changed it out right before the Sierra, and then I believe I changed it out after the Sierra, so I think this is my 3rd bag. When I was in the Sierra, I did have it double bagged though, so actually this is my 4th. And then I have my Black Diamond trekking poles here on the outside of the pack. And these are going to be retired as well. These are the cork handle ergonomic trekking poles. I have my Luco tape wrapped around one and some duct tape around the other one, but the cork handle is breaking, and I was starting to have problems with it kind of collapsing in on itself, and they're filthy. So I will probably be getting some new ones, at least because of the cork handle. I also had a little mouse too on the handle here while it was holding my tent up. Not sure how it did that, but a rodent of some sort did that. So that is everything that was still in my pack when I came home. I hope that's helpful to some of you to see kind of like what changed throughout my hike as far as gear. As you know, I changed my tent. I did start with the Big Agnes Fly Creek UL1 tent and switched to the Gossamer gear, the 2. As far as the 2 is concerned, I love the tent. It is a little bit big for through hiking. I was lucky this year with COVID. We weren't fighting over campsites most of the time, so I didn't have to worry as much about that. But when I go back, I probably will be getting a smaller tent in order to accommodate more people on the trail and having to worry about being able to get campsites easier. The other thing I changed was my rain gear. I walked out with frog togs. Those didn't even get me onto the trail before they ripped and were problems. I would not suggest doing frog togs. I went through 2 pairs of them before I switched to some real, rain gear, and didn't regret it at all, even though it was a little bit heavier. And the headlamp was changed to a rechargeable one, and I did change my battery pack from one that was heavier with less. It was 15,000 milliamp, and this one is 20,000. So I think those are the only real big changes that I had while I was out on trail. Otherwise, my gear worked really well for me. I would probably do a different pack because this one can't get a hip belt any smaller than what it is, and the hip belt was way too big for me by the time I lost some weight. So I definitely would get a different pack if I were to do it again.